Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Raleigh Board of Selectmen, September 23rd, 2013, Raleigh Board of Selectmen. Remind everybody that this meeting is being audio taped and videotaped. Call the meeting to order. First on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Treasurer Collector, Karen Summit, is here. Karen, will you lead us in the pledge?
I'd be happy to, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Karen, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, next the chairman comments. I'm going to have a few comments tonight. And I'll begin with, tonight, the Board of Health has a featured guest at their meeting, which is meeting over at the Annex tonight, Dr. Curtis Ursing of the Beacon Family Medical Group in Ipswich. He specializes in the treatment of Lyme disease. Since this is a disease that many people in our area are concerned about, we want to alert the viewers to this important discussion. The Board of Health meeting is being video recorded as we speak and will be shown on RCM at a later time this week. For anyone who wants to stop by the Health Board meeting, they are meeting tonight at the Annex at 39 Central Street. We thank the Board of Health for being so proactive on many issues that affect the health and well-being of our town residents. They have had a number of guest speakers at the meetings recently who have had very informative on the number of health-related concerns. Any of you, plus I can speak for myself, have had Lyme disease. It is no laughing matter. It is very debilitating, and it's something that needs to be caught immediately. So if you have the chance, you go over and see Dr. Ursing at right at this moment. I'll wait, and that will be on RCM sometime this week. Also, our state representative Brad Hill is holding his second annual food drive for the area food pantries, including the Raleigh Food Pantry. The food pantry will be held at the Raleigh Market Basket on Friday, September 27th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and on Saturday, September 28th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I will read some of the excerpts from Thursday's September 19th edition of the Ipswich Chronicle. I emphasize once again, as I do every selectmen's meeting, that there is a great need for food for the people in our community. Matter of fact, I received a phone call from a concerned citizen this afternoon, and we spoke for about 20 minutes about the need for the food pantries. This is very important, especially at this time of year, because this kind of falls off everybody's radar. So, if you listen up for a second. Last year's drive, this is about Brad Hill, the event's first year collected 130 boxes of food when the goal was 50 boxes. That filled 12-foot box truck, the open door loans for the food drive. The truck holds 5,000 pounds. This year, Hill hopes to fill the truck twice. This is a quote from Brad. "When I started seeing and talking to the heads of the food bank," said Hill, "I found out at Christmas, Thanksgiving, everyone gives. But this is a year-round issue. Through June, July, August, September, shelves are becoming very, very bare. This was a way to get food on the shelves. We think during the holidays, but this time of year, the need is really bad." Those who help run the food pantries say that they saw a spike in the need during the recession, but the need hasn't subsided since, creating steady pressure on the food banks to keep their clients fed. And there is no profile of a person who needs food pantry. The elderly, young families, single men and women. Over the past 3 years, we've seen a 30% jump in requests for food assistance, said Julie LaFontaine, Executive Director of Open Door. People are still struggling to make ends meet and recovering from the downturn in the economy. People may be employed, but they are not making the money they did before. The cuts in fish catch limits has also hurt the Gloucester area in particular, said LaFontaine. We serve 100 to 150 fishing families a year, and it stayed the same. Anecdotally, we have seen more fishing families in the past few years taken part in over in Gloucester to the food pantry over there and taken part in the kitchen, and there is a real need over there in the kitchen. Ipswich also has a free community meal once a week called the Dinner Bell, which is down the Masonic Lodge, and that's usually during the time that we meet here. That is on Topsfield Road, and the Dinner Bell is full all the time. A number of the churches in Ipswich take part, and also the Ipswich Rotary takes part. This year the Dinner Bell increased so much we had to do it on a weekly basis, said Hill. There is a clear need to help people with hunger issues. Oh, and one more read in the back here. I don't forget anything. In May, the big Postman's Drive gives us a lot of staples, but it's a real kickoff for the fall season. So considering the size of some of the food pantries and the volunteers who work there, they all do a magnificent job. So we thank our Representative Hill for doing this. And again, that will be this weekend, and I will, at the end of the meeting, I'll remind everybody again, just go forward. Raleigh Market Basket, September 27th, okay, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and then Saturday, September 28th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And with that, please, remember our local food pantry, and I'll, at the end of the meeting, remind you again. Okay, this is a issue that, kind of a gnawing issue, excuse the pun, but it's there within our community, and it's kind of hidden below the lens. So please remember the food pantry if you can. And as I mentioned before, just a box of spaghetti and a jar of a spaghetti sauce, that's a meal for somebody, and that's very inexpensive to provide. So thank you. So that is my chairman's comments for tonight. And just to make note, from 7:05 to 7:15 is citizen query. Right now we're in the middle of citizen query because it's now 7:10. We get a little late start tonight. We'll keep it open till well, we have to go 7:15. We have Larry.
Yes.
Identify yourself, please.
Yes, Larry White, Central Street.
Yes, Larry.
And I wanted to, may I approach you?
Sure.
I wanted to kind of keep you abreast of Stackyard Road, and I have just one copy.
Okay.
Mainly because my printer takes 5 minutes to run off the ones, but let me just walk you through the photographs. Okay. On the first one, it shows basically the layout of Stackyard Road. The scale is 1 inch to the mile. And from point A to the Clam Flats is about a mile or so. Okay. Second picture is just a better showing of the road, the Stackyard Nelson's Island Road that goes there. Point A, I'll describe it a little bit, and then there's a little box for point B. Third picture is a blow up of point B, okay, which shows kind of where the parking area, restricted area is right now. The next picture shows the end of Stackyard Road.
Really? Yep. Okay.
Okay. Next picture shows the end of Stackyard Road and the Clam Flats. That's just to give you an idea of where it is. The next picture shows point A, okay, which is kind of the end of Stackyard Road and the beginning of Nelson Island Road. Okay, you're looking at that, but also way in the distance, okay, is where the parking area is. But basically, we'll say if they wanted to cut the road off, they could cut it off back up at here.
Right.
Okay. The next picture is when you pull into the parking lot, you're greeted with a gate across, continuing on down Stackyard Road.
Right.
All right. The next picture shows that it's locked, padlocked. You just can't, no vehicle can get by there without a key or whatever type of a thing. You're also greeted by, in the next picture, there's a sign there, but basically saying that the trail is currently closed to everything. Okay, except on Sunday when you can hike or bird or stuff like that. It is open to throughout the week for commercial clamming and waterfowl hunting, but basically it's closed. All right. The next photograph kind of shows the road as it now stands. Okay, and you can see kind of in the distance where it's a little flooded. The next photograph kind of gives you a better idea of what the road is.
Right.
And then the last one kind of shows the flooding of the road. Basically, the complaint that the Fish and Wildlife had was that people were driving off the road and tearing up the whole surroundings. But you can see that if you drive off the road, you know, you're in the mud, you're in the water. All right, no person's going to be doing that. They might hit just the very shoulder edges or something like that. But then again, if you've got an ambulance that has to get in there or anything else, they're not going to make it. Running a stretcher back and forth 5,100 feet, I don't think is a good idea. And then just on the last page, which is your first page, I'm summarizing
Sure.
kind of what I saw as the concerns, that basically there's no access for FEMA, for fire, police, or anything like that. And that maybe we can get Department of Homeland Security or someone else involved in it, or things like that. I was hoping that either of the senator or rep would be here this evening, because we talked about it last week. But basically that's giving you this so that you could be more aware of it. And the pictures kind of show a lot more than just the talking of how impassable that road is. And leave it there for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
Larry, this is our copy?
Yes.
Okay, we'll put this. Thank you, Larry. And now again, that deals with the discussion we had about the last week, about the clammers, when they came in and spoke to us about Stackyard Road. And we will address that in a future meeting. Okay, Larry?
Fine.
Thank you. Okay, any other citizen query tonight? Okay. With that, it is now 7:15, and we have an appointment. Our town treasurer is here. Get the right folder, otherwise I'll be talking about general business. Okay, treasurer collector Karen Summit signing. There are several pages of loan documents that the Board of Selectmen need to sign. Karen will review them with the board. So with that, Karen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you. Gentlemen, what these are is 3 years ago at town meeting, the town authorized $750,000 in septic loan notes. What these are monies that are loaned out to citizens who have failed septic systems so that they can repair them. The citizens pay 2% interest, and then the payback is through the tax bill as a betterment, and that's over a period of 20 years. And this has been a 0% loan to the town. That actually will be changing in the future. But in terms of this loan that we're signing right now, this is the last of our 0% money. And what had happened was we had borrowed $750,000, and the way it works is we draw down money as we need it to loan out. We had drawn down $550,000 of the $750,000, and at that point in time, the state permanently borrowed the notes. So this is the balance, and because they had canceled our other interim note, we have to start with a new interim note for the remaining $200,000. So basically, that is the paperwork you've got in front of you.
Okay.
And there's 3 things that need to be signed. There's the note, which is the green piece of paper.
This is all together, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
What there is there's a motion and a vote
Okay.
that I believe you have to read. Is that correct, Debbie?
That's usually what we have done, and it's usually signed by the clerk.
By the
of
clerk,
board
right.
Rather than the chairman,
Okay.
that we,
Right.
Mr. Perry tonight.
Right, and then
Um,
there's the
this-
note and then the loan agreement.
Looking for the motion. Is the motion in?
It's the fourth page, or there's 4 copies of it.
4 copies?
Yeah.
So the clerk should read the motion? So I should,
You
Clerk
guys
is
can
gonna
decide
sign that
whoever
motion.
wants to read it.
okay.
They're clipped together, Bob, so if you take off maybe the big clip.
Okay. Okay. Septic. Okay, there's 4 of them here.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just, we, the selectmen and the treasurer of the town of Raleigh, Massachusetts, certify that we have signed $200,000 0% interim loan note. The note for the town dated September 15th, 2013, and payable on the closing date. The note bears the town seal, which is also affixed to the certificate. We further certify that the loan agreement number T5-97-1175-C with the Massachusetts Water Pollution Abatement Trust, otherwise known as the Trust, dated July 7th, 2010, providing for an interim loan evidenced by the note in the project approval certified in regulatory agreement number T5-T5-97-1175C with the Department of Environmental Protection relating to the project financed by the note that has been signed by the treasurer or the duly authorized official, and we hereby confirm those agreements capitalized.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in lieu of reading that entire document, I would make a motion that
Well,
we sign
Okay.
this
So with that,
$200,000.
Dave, thanks for cutting me off. And do I have a motion?
That's a motion.
That's a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor? Sign the document.
Aye.
Aye. God bless you, Dave.
Well, the town clerk's here, she knows how we do this at town meetings, so we might as well be.
Okay.
We all signed the 4.
Is that the one with the 5 lines?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Okay. So. You have to sign this one.
Yes.
That was in this side too.
Okay.
Okay, that's what it was.
When they're done, Susan needs to see them, so I'll take them back.
Some more documents to be signed here? Oh, that's by the clerk.
Right, and that, is that the one with the motion?
Should be, number 1.
Okay. This is just I further certify that the votes, and then there's a, and there's signed by the clerk. It's not a motion, is it?
That was the motion.
That is,
That was the motion.
yeah, I think there's 4 copies that need to be signed.
Yes.
They're all signed? Okay.
Please.
Like a well-oiled machine here.
Work for you, Susan, it's easier for you.
Well, we started this now.
This one just needs a seal, no signature. Not my signature,
Right.
at least. Almost got it done.
He's certifying, that this vote took place, which they did take place
Okay.
because they, made a motion to, approve it as printed on
Gotcha.
the
All right.
other document.
Gotcha. Mr. Chairman, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Treasurer Collector,
Thank
always
you.
a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Spend it wisely.
Yes, we will.
Susan, thank you.
Thank you,
Our
Susan.
town clerk.
Thank you.
And Dave, thank you for stopping me.
You're welcome.
All right, it is 24 after the hour. At 7:30, Highway Surveyor Ron Kiefel is here. Ron is in the audience, so we got about another 5 minutes, Ron. We're going to call you forward. In the meantime, let's move on to general business. General business. Have an email letter from Weblow's Den 3 regarding citizen activity badge. Chase Caverio, is that correct? Caverio, sent the following message to the board. Good morning. I have a den of first-year Weblos here in town. We are going to begin working on a citizenship activity badge. One of the requirements is to have a visit with the community leader and learn about the duties of the job or office. I was wondering if one of you, the selectmen, would be willing to come to one of our meetings and tell a bit about what a selectman does, how he was elected and why he wanted to be a selectman. We have a meeting on 10/7 and 10/21. We meet at the Congregational Church for 4:30 to 6 p.m. 4:30 to 6 p.m. I would take that to be. Thank you, Chase Caverio, Den 3. So, is there a selectman who would like to attend the Weblows meeting? If not, what is the third? That is
It's, 10/7 or 10/21, which are both.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mondays.
10,
So October 7th or October 21st from 4:30 to 6 p.m., so they're both Mondays.
both Mondays
But they're before our meeting.
for a meeting.
Yes, so it should be ended by 6 o'clock.
All right, I'll
Yeah.
go over. That's it. Board
Yeah.
mind? I'll go over to that. That's
No
no
problem
problem.
at all.
All right.
Okay, we'll let them know.
All right. Tell them available the 7th. Maybe a better date, I think. Okay, moving on to general business number 2. It is a letter from the Agricultural Commission requesting Barrett Bacall to be appointed to the Agricultural Commission. The Agricultural Commission is requesting that you appoint Barrett Bacall of 640 Weathersfield Street to the commission. Barrett has been very active in the community garden, and we feel that will serve the town well. Thank you for consideration. Diane Short, Secretary. Any questions from the board?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Barrett Call.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Send a letter out to Mr. Bacall and welcome him. Serving the town, we thank him. Okay. Moving on to general business. Now let me see if this is going to take some time or. Okay. Request from Pedorowski Auctioneers Incorporated for a one-day auction at 715 Main Street. Pedorowski Auctioneers have applied for one-day auction permit at 715 Main Street for October the 5th, 2013. They will be auctioning farm tractors and attachments. Attached is an application. They have hired a police detail. Chief Broderick has no issues with the application as long as there is a clear egress to all structures during the auction for fire apparatus. The Board of Selectmen can make this a condition for the approval. Has everyone read over the auction documents?
I'll give it a motion to approve with the fire chief stipulation.
Okay. I
Second.
have a motion. I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
This is Pike, just a quick question, this is the Pikel Farm, is that?
Yes,
what
it is.
Okay, and we have general business number 4. Ask me approve the MOA. The Board of Selectmen needs to vote and sign it. And with that, I have a motion from the board to sign the MOA for the Ask Me agreement.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a
Second.
second? I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, with that, gentlemen, sign this, all of us. Bob? Ron, in the meantime, we reserved a seat down front for you. There you go, Joe. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. Start off with this. Okay, this is exactly 7:30. Back into. Okay. With that. Okay, we have Highway Surveyor Ron Keat to discuss the revised snow plowing contract from the, in the Pine Grove School parking lot areas. Acting Highway Surveyor Ron Keat is attending tonight's meeting to discuss the snow plowing contract. He has updated the form and has looked at other town contracts as a model. He and Scott, we're talking about Scott Levitt, had been working to update this form, so Ron wanted to complete this task prior to the upcoming winter season. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to you, Ron.
And I actually forgot my copy on the kitchen counter, but,
You're right.
Hey,
thanks. Yeah, there wasn't too many changes. One of the more important ones was we're going to be requiring all plow contractors to give a copy of their driving record. We've had a couple instances, as we are all aware. That's the start. Copy of the driving license. We're going to get real strict on, it hasn't happened too often, and when it has, the contractors have either been sent home or have been terminated, and that is the plowing of private driveways during town time. The other issue we ran into is this past year is FEMA money reimbursement is tracking down all the bills. We actually just completed it about a week ago. Thanks to Pat, we did a lot of that work. And we're going to be requiring, if the state declares a state of emergency prior to coming in for the president, the governor or the president, we'll be requiring that all contractors come in and punch in. Use a time card, we can track it a lot easier, and punch in and punch out for that storm. It's not something we're going to require every storm, but if it's a state of emergency, we know we're going to have a lot of paperwork. That is something that we are going to require.
okay.
The other thing is really the deadline when we get the last bill. Sometimes we're chasing contractors for the last bill. We're putting a date in that they have to have it in by a certain date. It won't be accepted. But other than that, nothing's changed.
Okay.
We looked at Salisbury, Newbury, Georgetown's, and for the most part, all contracts were pretty much similar.
Okay.
We actually added the driving record in ourselves.
Ron, I think that's a really good idea about having them punch in, because that's a safety issue too.
Yes.
You know where people are, whereabouts they're, you know, you have them assigned to certain sections of the
Yes.
town, correct?
Yes.
So, you know, if they just went home or left, and there's something happened to them out there, we wouldn't know.
No.
So that's a really good idea.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Ron, on the first page, page 1, the last paragraph and the end of the first sentence. It says copy of driver's license as well.
It's supposed to be well, yes.
So we want to strike the S?
Yes.
Thank you. I knew that was set there, so I'd make sure that I read it, right? Also, I noticed, I read the other sample contracts that you had put in the package,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't find in the one that we're proposing anything said about workman's compensation coverage to the minimum statutory amount.
Okay.
I don't know if that's something we might want to think about having them do, provide, if they hire a contractor to drive their truck.
They have to have that.
We
So
can
I
put
guess it was implied on this, so it's always been required workers' comp.
Okay, I know some of the other contracts have it specified right in it, particularly Salisbury.
Yeah.
Makes a point to make sure that that's taken care of.
We can modify it again and
If,
add that in there.
If it's a
If we
sole
could-
proprietor, then they have sole proprietor insurance.
Exactly, but if they're hiring somebody to drive their truck, then they need workers'
Mhm.
comp. And we've got the minimum combined single limit for each accident is 100,000, 500,000?
Yep.
Is that gonna be enough? Because when I read the other contract, it goes back like 10, 15 years that they had that same amount. So I'm not sure if maybe we wanna try to increase that.
That was one thing Scott looked into the last time he modified the contract, and what you got into was when he called the other towns, none of them have changed it, and what you get into is once you start increasing those increments, the contractors, which some of them may just live on the plowing, it increases their insurance to a point where, unless it snows, it's too cumbersome for them to even afford.
Yeah. On the other hand, if something really serious happens, it may be too much for the town to afford.
Yeah, this is true. That was one thing Scott looked into.
I mean, I don't know, Deb, what you think about that, but
I'm usually always the one recommending a higher amount, but I was presented with the same situation from Ron. He said that this would cause some undue hardship on some of the local snow plowers who would need that. Certainly, I can run it by the insurance company, they're gonna come back with a higher limit. I do believe Salisbury was,
I think Salisbury was the high one.
Well, no, I see on
100.
Salisbury it says 100 to 500,000.
Yeah, that's what we got listed, 100 to 500,000.
Yeah,
And that seems to be, I know when Scott looked into it,
Some of the
that
other
was
towns
the
are less.
average of all the
that's
surrounding
property
towns.
damage. And then there's,
there was another municipality that had 100 to 300
Yeah, a little bit less.
thousand
okay.
for some of us.
3 or 4 years ago, he sent us a letter, Ron, because I upped mine to 1 million, 2 million.
He was looking into it at the time,
Yeah,
and he never did it after looking at what it would cost
I
contractors.
don't know what the other guys do, but I mean, I do other town business, you know, any accident,
We
Covers,
always have
if you
1
hit
million
someone
dollars
or-
as a standard.
property damage.
So I don't know what we want to do with that. I mean, it was a question that I wanted to ask, that's all.
Any other feeling of people on the board? Or the selectmen?
Is there any indication of what the difference in costs are on? Sometimes it's,
It varies from every contractor, because some only have one truck, some may have 4, some may have 5. I think the largest contractor in town has 5 pieces of equipment, so that could be a good chunk of change. The one thing with plow contracts, after reviewing them, is most of them are very similar, and very similar to what the state requires.
Let me ask this question then. There's an accident and the contractor gets sued. I assume we get sued also, is that
Well-
the normally they sue everybody they can.
You do, but
Do
that's.
we become the deep pockets then, beyond what the contractor has available for
It
insurance?
Possibly. The reason why we're additional insured is so that when we're named in the suit along with another party, being an additional insured will automatically go to the other party's insurance. We will need to prepare a defense and have a deductible for the liability end of it. So if the limits aren't going to meet what the damage is in an accident, then it most certainly can come back to the town.
Have we ever been involved? You recall, since you've been here, working with Scott, was an ever incident?
There was an incident.
Yeah, how did that come out? Did that,
They went after the contractor, and I don't think the town ever heard anything beyond that.
Yeah.
That was someone who lost their license and informed Scott right away. It was Powell without a license. And that company was terminated.
so we never heard, the highway never heard of the town?
It never came back after the town, to the best
Yeah.
of my knowledge. So
Yeah.
Scott terminated the contractor as soon as he
Yeah.
found out.
Mhm. Well, how's the board feel about the limit?
Well, I don't, I plow for the town.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
only gonna have one truck, so I don't wanna get in the middle of it.
No,
I'm,
you're better.
No, no.
I'm fully covered, believe me. So, it's up to, I
So,
would say, be
and the board
Ron's
members, how do
call.
you feel? Do you think it should
Can
be
we get-
higher, or should be?
Could we get an insurance agent just to give us some idea of what the change is for these people?
What the increase would
What the
be.
increase would cost? That's all.
That might be a
Because
good
right
idea.
now, we have no idea what the difference is.
Why don't we
This
ta-
is something they can, wait a week before.
Okay, why don't we
Hopefully, we won't need
table,
it
why don't we
before next
table
week.
this for the week, all right? That'd be all right?
Yep.
We can give enough time. It's not gonna snow, I don't think.
Hope not.
I would like to
Hold on.
suggest maybe if the office could check with Meyer, who are our insurers, and
Yeah.
and maybe get an opinion from them as to whether
Mhm.
this would be something they think would cover us at
Right.
that amount, or whether we should actually be a little higher. I mean, when push comes to shove, it's gonna be Meyer that's gonna have to defend us.
Well, Maya will come back and recommend higher limits. That's, I had this conversation with Scott on this a year ago
Yeah.
or so. So I would certainly have that conversation. And at some point, we need to decide what that threshold is, but maybe even if Ron asks some of the local plowers what a 1 million, 2 million would be on their premium, they could get a quote from there.
There's also something called snow plowing insurance. I think Salisbury has that clause in their contract. I read it somewhere online. So maybe if we don't want to increase the limits, maybe we could ask that they place snow plowing insurance on, so it's only active during snow plowing,
It's a special binder? that's-
evidently,
Okay,
yeah. So maybe we
Well,
could
that the
ask,
plowers can purchase from their companies.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it has a special rate, and I take it as a reduced rate? for plowing?
I don't know, I have no
Okay.
idea what it is or how it works, but it may be that we could offer that as an alternative to an increase in the base limits that we've set already.
Ron, could you look into that?
Yep.
And, well, Debbie also, but Ron, could you look and ask some of the other towns, the other DPW directors or highway surveyors,
Okay.
okay? And ask into that.
It would seem to me that
Right.
just snowplow insurance would probably be a little bit less expensive, it's only for that 4 or 5 months, not even that long.
Yeah.
3 or 4 month time frame when there's liable to be snow.
A
So,
lot of mailboxes out there.
well,
It's
It's only mailbox, we're covered.
well, unless we can
Be
play
surprised at some
Georgetown's,
of
we
Well,
can
I'm
play
sure I've dealt
Georgetown's
with
card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Georgetown claims are all on town property, so that they're on their own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, most of them are probably. I think we've dealt with the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, what Salisbury has is a snow plowing liability coverage of 500. So they do have snow, they list 4 items that they want clearly on their certificates of insurance. The bodily injury, the property damage, and then the snow plow liability. And then workers' comp, but, so maybe that's an inquiry, because that would be something that'd be somewhat seasonal, maybe
Yeah, maybe check with Salisbury,
7
see
months
just
a year,
exactly
8
what's
months a year,
entailed.
maybe at the most.
It's similar to motorcycle insurance. Usually bike's only covered for so many months,
Yeah,
so
I
boat
mean,
is insurance.
Sorry.
Okay, we'll table this for the week and we'll come back to it next week, all right?
Yeah, the other, you had an issue about, I see on the thing about
Oh, yes.
school.
Oh, I was asked today by the janitor, Dan, and the principal, they're requesting that we install, nicely they asked, a handicap ramp and speed bumps. I have no issue with the ramp. It won't cost much at all. And the speed bumps we have a couple that have not been used, and they sit back in the garage. They just actually bolt to the ground, and winter we can unbolt them and pull them back up. I
Okay.
guess it's been an issue for speeding.
In the parking area?
The principal was almost hit the other day, I guess.
Well, they race to get out back to the fields.
That's exactly
And
what
if
it
we
was.
expand the fields, eventually we're gonna run into, it's even gonna be a bigger problem. I've seen it. in
That's
action.
exactly what she said.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
the
you see
fields.
it there.
Just a quick story in regards to that. I picked up the late school bus kids, and about 4 years ago, 4 o'clock, we're picking up the late kids, and we blocked the access when we're picking the kids up so people can't drive out to the back lot. A woman drove up over the 6-inch curb, through the shrubs and down the other side. She was anxious to get back and either drop off a kid or, so I mean, this is, I can sympathize with the principal. We just shook our head. It was like, are you kidding me? But I mean, this is what happens. It's exactly what happens.
The ramp was also kind of mentioned that they needed from the fire chief when they had a fire drill the other day, and they were getting the wheelchairs, trying to get them up over.
Yeah,
You come out the front door, go right across to the bike rack. There's no ramp, and that's where they have to walk the kids.
okay.
So that's where we will be installing it. And it's actually, if it's okay with you, it's getting moved to the top of the work list.
What's the the Americans Disability Act, was it 48 inches for a ramp?
The pitch and grade,
Yeah.
I don't even know myself.
Pitch is 10 degrees.
10 degrees. Chris Walsh is finding that out for me.
Yeah.
Okay, Peter, do you know?
This has to be to spec, Mr. Chairman, because it's public property, so
Yeah.
I advise Ron to reach out to Chris
Okay.
Walsh to get that technical specification,
Yeah.
because if it's not done right, we're gonna have a
Correct.
mess on our hands.
I can tell you to be the most updated and prettiest one in there when we're done.
Okay,
Yeah, we just want to make sure we do it right.
Yeah.
all right.
And that's all I'm waiting for that. And we are also, news this morning is we are going to be short-handed for some time. One of the employees down at the highway garage got in a motorcycle accident
Oh, all
this
right.
weekend. I don't know if he's in pain or more upset about his 49 Indian, but yes, he's doing okay. But he's down for a
Probably in
while.
pain with both of us.
Yeah.
Who's that? From Salisbury?
Oh, boy. No, that's too bad. They can be all right, though.
Yeah.
Okay. We wish them all the best.
Ron, can I just say too that the guys over the years have done an excellent job plowing and sanding Raleigh roads, and I agree with the comment I saw you made somewhere, I think, that we're amongst the best cared for our roads in town when it comes to snow and ice, and I see it once again when I drive the bus to Triton.
We are, and that's why I want to
We
make
went to the
sure
neighboring towns, and
they're. And they
the only
have-
other thing I want to say in the same vein is that we spend a lot of money for snow plowing every year, and every year we run over the budget, so if you can really hang tight with it as tight as you can, because whatever money
I
we
tried.
spend this year, we take out of next year's operating budget, so.
Well, luckily
And
this
it
year,
obviously is beyond us as how much snow we get, but
we're starting the year with the full salt bin just about. I think we're 3/4 full. I think we have enough sand to start the year, so we won't be jumping right in, loading up the salt
Right.
bin. It was actually at the end of last year, we got concerned. And the way the winter was going, then all of a sudden stopped.
and
We
hopefully we
loaded up.
can, in the budget, we can start putting some additional money into the snow budget so that we don't have to keep drawing quite so much out of at the end of the year when we run short. But anyway, no, the guys do a great job if you
I
can
appreciate
convey that to them.
Yeah, as
We appreciate it, the citizens appreciate it, and
Dave said, yes, you did a great job last year, really.
Yep.
Well, I've done it
roads were in
for
really good condition.
Many years.
many years. it
Many
really
years,
has.
not just last year,
The
but
43 years that I've been here.
A lot of thanks has to go to you guys too for purchasing new equipment over the years. Every time I've come before the town, we usually get what we need. And we do it, when the contractors go home, you still got the same 3-4 guys that have been on 2 days before. And
Yeah.
that doesn't change. So as tired as they are, they go out and they still do it. So
No, thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Good job, Ron. All right.
One point, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
not to be disagreeable, but, I know it's not close by, but Mount Washington had over an inch.
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
I did.
That's what.
Sleep with one eye open tonight, Ron, just in case.
If you guys want to pay the overtime, I'll send out the help.
Nice guy, call Joe.
Have your cell close to your cell phone. Oh, boy. Have they had snow up in Caribou yet?
I don't
They
think so.
probably have had it
so.
dusted.
It's a little early still.
Well, I don't know.
Be some big frost tonight up there, though.
Yeah.
The frost is coming.
Yeah.
Okay, Ron, anything else?
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron. Okay. We went a little bit over. And we have Peter, come on down, we got a seat for you.
Here.
Okay, with that, this is from Katrina O'Leary. It says, "This is Amy. I helped Peter Loomis with CPA application for the community gardens. I believe he has been invited to attend the Selectmen's meeting Monday night. He does not have a computer and will not only have a copy of the application with him, so I'm attaching a full application to this email in case you want the Selectmen to have copies. Peter will have a color copy with him Monday night." And Peter, this is in regards to community gardens and the irrigation project.
Correct.
So with that, Peter, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. In our attempt to get an irrigation system situated, the Agricultural Commission kind of voted to agree to pursue the well over on the Pine Grove School. And we have applied for community preservation funds for this project. And at this time, I'm just coming here to tell you that we have applied for the community preservation funds so that you wouldn't be just not aware of what we had done. And the things look good. We have sent the application in, so hopefully things will go good and we will get the funds needed.
Have you approached the Recreation Department yet?
I have talked to Bob Snow. I'm sorry, not Bob Snow. Tim, was that you?
Tim, no, that wasn't me.
Tim
I would
Southall.
have remembered. Tim Southall?
Yes.
Okay.
I spoke to Tim Southall about it, and he is willing to work with us in any way that we can, way he can. There may be some updated issues that may have to happen to the existing well that they have now, but they have a proposed well for their ball fields.
Okay.
And a new one. So when that new one comes, we would either tie into that or when the town brings in the water supply for the street, then we would tap off of that.
Okay, I think what we need to do here, I think this has to go through Recreation Department before it comes back, before it comes up to us.
Okay.
And their approval first, and then come into the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
And as to the water issues, Bob, there, you had some concerns, didn't you?
Well, yeah, basically, it was my understanding after talking to Tim that the pump that they're using now at the playing fields, the Veterans Park, is not a pressurized pump. And what they do is they have several zones that they use in those fields. So they set out one zone and they start the pump, and the pump runs for a certain length of time, and it will not shut off until somebody shuts it off. Or if it's on a timer, it will shut itself off. and then they start another zone. They can't use all of the zones at the same time, because I'm not sure whether they don't have enough water or what the deal is, but it would be interesting to know what the rate of that well produces, gallons per minute. And the distance you people want to push it, I'm not sure the pump would be large enough to do that. And I know you've had some problems out there at the original garden off the farmhouse well, where you had to add another pipe, parallel to two pipes, to get the volume that you needed to water the gardens. So that's a little bit of a concern, whether that particular well will produce enough water to do that.
In our request,
Yeah.
there is, part of that is to update the well that does exist
Okay.
to a pressurized system to supply us the water, hopefully supply us the water that we need. We had made provisions to run a larger line than the diameters of the two lines that,
The present ones?
the
Yeah.
present ones.
Okay.
So we did make, modifications there to hopefully, satisfy our needs. I did go to the health department, and according to the health department, we can use the existing spigots and all of that. We do have to post them as being, I forget how we said it, a non-potable water, I believe, is that it's not drinking,
Right,
not
yes.
drinking water. Okay, so, but that's all we have to do. It's not that we have to change anything,
Okay.
okay? As far as the,
You know if the well itself has been tested?
I don't know if the well has been tested, and I know that what else did they say? That the state only requires us to retest one time a year for
Okay.
bacteria.
Okay.
So that's all that the Board of Health would require us to do.
So they would require at least one test?
One test,
And
This
yes.
is not drinking water, correct?
Well, it's not drinking water, but you are putting it on a vegetable garden.
Yes.
And you do wind up eating the
Yes.
vegetables, so I
Yes.
mean, if there's arsenic in the well, I'm not sure I want to eat the tomatoes.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. So I agree with the recommendations, that we have it tested for once a year
No,
from
that would
the,
be very prudent,
yeah.
yes,
So I agree with all of that, and that's,
so.
All right, Peter, so,
Could I ask
sure.
Mr. Chairman, a technical question? Does this kind of a project fall under the purview of spending CPC funds? It's not recreational, it's not conservation, it's not
Historical.
historical. I just wonder if we're running into an issue of, a legal issue of, is that a proper expenditure of CPC funds?
George, can you identify?
Yeah, Dave, when we,
George, can you identify yourself, please?
I'm sorry, I'm
Sure.
George Pasanko, Chairman of the Ag Commission.
Thank you.
When we were first going into this, we found out through the Department of Agriculture and also the Concom, I think, found out something that this is considered recreational.
Okay.
They say that community gardens are part of a recreational use of properties.
Nope, that's fine, that's my question answered. Thank you, Joy.
Yeah.
George, thanks for clearing that up.
Mr. Peterson, in the application, for CPC funds, they also asked that question.
Okay.
And it is answered in there as, part historical and along with recreational. And
No, that's fine. That's my question. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Just want to make sure we don't run into a legal issue at the last minute.
Right.
All right, Peter, so I think we need to do is go to the recreation, get their approval, and. then-
My other thought.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, would be, is there a possibility, since we're all done watering for this year, would this be, without rushing into this, put it on the special town meeting in the spring? And if everything's in place, you'd have the water line in time for June. Just in case, are there any other alternatives besides running this line all the way from, I know, is there any hydrants or lines or any other areas we could run town water in there somehow that, I don't know, I have no idea. I'm not totally familiar with the water system out there with the water area, but in other words, all I'm saying is that at this point, we're done for this year watering, basically. And if we have the May special town meeting, and if everything's in order, it wouldn't take much to get the water line in before the growing season for
Well,
June. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, well, the development of the road, or the hydrant, bringing the hydrant in, would be subject to according to the water department, subject to the contractor actually buying or promoting the, what would you call it, low-income housing. And with that, we wouldn't be able to see the water in a timely fashion. And so that if it were such that we could see the water in a timely fashion, then we would go in that way. It unfortunately, the growing season does start a little bit earlier than June. A lot of gardeners do tend to, get in there early to try and get their things started and that kind of stuff. And at that time is when they really do need the water.
Okay.
And
Yeah, you tend to put in an early crop starting in mid-April.
Now,
April, May, depending on the weather.
if I can play the devil's advocate,
sure.
and we get the approval, we spend the money, we put in the pipe, we put in the pump, we do everything, and you flip the switch, and no water comes out of the other end. What do we do now?
Well, the question is, that's a tough one to answer.
Well,
I agree.
I understand.
And but we've also spent the monies to develop the ball field and all of that. And they intend to water that field somehow also.
Right.
And part of their watering that field would be a well, and that's in their proposal, is to a new well, and which is not far from
The original.
the original well that they're on now. So it would be easy enough for us to change the direction of the line, I guess,
But we
basically.
get back to the same question
Okay.
that Dave asked. If we do it in the spring,
Yes.
I don't think those ball fields or even that well will be ready anytime within the next year.
Well, yeah, you're right.
And, I have to ask myself, well, why would the rec committee go for the cost of another well when they've already got one within 20 or 50 or whatever feet of the present one? And my thought is, maybe they're not getting enough water out of that thing. So, it all comes back to that
You're right.
gallons per minute flow that we can verify. Will we actually be able to supply both their needs as the irrigation system for their playing fields and the garden's needs for the growing of the vegetables?
How deep is this existing well?
I don't know. The well specs are typically on the well head. They're inside the well head, and I have not opened that up. That's on Pine Grove School property, and I haven't touched that. I don't want to go into any water supply or look at
Well,
that.
hopefully-
And
We could maybe check with the rec committee. I'm sure at some point they must have a file on this thing, and they've got a
Well,
report from the well.
I didn't check with the health department. Now, the health department, I would think, may have that
Well,
information.
it's possible, but that was for irrigation only.
Correct. They may have it, though,
It's
because it
possible,
is an irrigation system or a well system.
I think it would be nice to know what that figure is. It really would be.
Mr. Chairman,
Brad,
Yes,
Brad
George.
Street Farm is around 300 feet.
300 feet? Their
The
well.
Brad Street Farm artesian is at 300 feet because I went to Rollins, who drilled it, and he gave us an estimate to put in a well with the pump and everything if we could go that route, but it was close to 20,000 altogether.
21,000.
21,000, yeah. So
To drill and put the
to
well
drill
in?
and put in a well, and then of course we would have to get the electricity in and everything else, which,
Wow.
you know, that would be up around $25,000 to put in a well.
That's for a 300-foot well?
That's a 300-foot well at over 10 gallons a minute.
Wow.
Because they said since it would be used for the gardens, they would guarantee us 10 gallons a minute.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
I don't want to be a pain. Who's designing this whole, whose information are we depending on to come up with the $5,000 and the workability of the, is this an engineer or is it just
No.
Me,
interested citizens and,
me.
which, and not to question your credentials, I have no idea what your background is or
No.
whatever, but
No,
time after time, we get involved in projects in which people come in and say, oh, we can do it for this.
right.
And by the time you get done, it turns out to be, well, wait a minute, we gotta pay prevailing wage rates, or, you know, they estimated this, and we're really gonna need that, and I just, you know, I would like to see, you know, from my perspective, and CPC may say they don't care, but,
Mhm.
you know, too many projects come in and get way underestimated. And if we get into this thing, we certainly, we're gonna need the water for the garden, obviously. And we wanna make sure that the estimates are based on some kind of accurate information beyond someone saying, well, I think it's gonna cost this much.
Right.
That would be my concern. Other than that, it's, you know, we need the water, we need it, and then certainly a lot of people grow vegetables down there, we don't wanna hold up the project, but we want it done right at the same
Right.
time.
I agree there.
And also, you know, Bob, you and I have been working with the rec committee on the new ball field. We just had have had a couple of meetings.
I wonder if, well, the two of you seem to know an awful lot about it.
Well, yeah, he and I have met with
Yeah.
Tim Southall, and we talked with the Meridian last week. We met with them, and I didn't see anything about a well. Did you? Did you remember anything about it in that proposal and them putting in a well?
Well, it's on the plan.
Is it on the plan? Okay.
Yes, and I'm assuming they're gonna do it under, well, I'm not sure if they're gonna do it under phase one. I don't know when they're gonna do it. But there is a proposed well on the plan.
Okay.
How about if, would the two of you like to be a liaisons down there to look at this? 'Cause,
Well, I mean, my only concern is that it works.
yeah.
We'd like it to work.
Yeah.
And my concern is that it's enough money being appropriate. If we come in with 5,000 and it turns out that we need 7,500.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, is this, maybe Debbie, you would know, is this something that we would have to, or maybe is this a surface line you're running? Is this what?
Yeah, it's gonna be on.
Basically, it's just you're running out a tube, a plastic tubing from the well to the well, so there's no digging or any of that kind
Will
of
it be
stuff.
some digging? Yes.
Just in places where we would have to go under, like
Road.
If the
walkways
temporary
or.
construction road gets built, they'd have to put it under that.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
Other
worried
than that, it
about,
shouldn't be.
because we're gonna be using that parcel, the
Correct.
affordable housing is gonna have big trucks coming and going. I don't know how you engineer that little pipe to go underneath the dirt for these big trucks that are gonna be going into there to clear the land for the development. I wasn't sure, looking at this, how that would be a concern that I have,
Well, I think.
the construction.
I would estimate that, in other words, if you're running a surface pipe, basically, this for next summer, for a year from now, you're not gonna run into any construction issues with it, so there's no way, I don't think, Bob, we're gonna see if it's gonna be at least a couple of years before we
Yeah, I mean-
even begin to
I think
construct that field.
The hard nut here is gonna be the federal water pollution.
Yeah, we got a lot of DEP,
Federal stuff is gonna.
federal
take some
stuff,
time.
that permits we need to require, so it's gonna drag the thing out. So I think you're safe. I think whatever we're looking at is, at this point, is a temporary line.
Yeah, it would be temporary and what they do.
And then at some point in the future, whether the other well's drilled, or
Right.
we need to do something. I mean, at some point, it might be worthwhile to run a line in from somewhere anyway. I mean,
Yep.
it's just, 'cause we're gonna be looking between fields and everything else. You're gonna be pumping an awful lot of water, so. But I mean,
Could,
at this point,
just thinking, You two be the liaisons down there?
Well, I don't really want to get involved in this project. It's just the fact that I just want to make sure. I guess my main concern at this point is, and I had some questions about the viability of the project, but you've pretty well convinced me that I'm okay with it. But I think my concern is cost, because project after project, how many projects we come in with and people say it's going to cost $15,000 and it comes in a lot more. So I think you need to really make sure that you got your costs down, so that, because if you go in for 5,000 and you need 7,500, you got a problem. So
I think I'm not sure how you guys are gonna handle this, but I get the impression that you're gonna basically cover the cost of the materials with the $5,000. And the rest of the job will be done with guiding
Volunteers.
people or volunteers to lay the pipe out and put the connections together and that kind of thing.
Same thing we've been
Did-
doing, Bob.
Right, that they had done to the earlier, when they, same thing type of,
So I'm not as concerned about the cost overrun.
no, as long as as long as we've looked at it, I think that's fine. In other words, we just want to cover all the bases, because we get caught short time after time with some of these projects.
I'm just thinking
We'll take
about
more
how
money
much
if
we
you-
put in our own just to get where we are now. It's kind of,
Okay, so Peter, you don't have to go through the rec
yes,
department.
yep,
Okay, talk to them,
yep.
and then a rec committee, and then come back to us.
Yeah, make sure you got the rec's approval and that they're
Okay?
and I,
comfortable with what we're trying to do here, so that we don't have a problem later on.
Absolutely.
After you spend all the money and they decide they need more water and they turn the valve off, you know?
They really should give us a written
Well, yes.
our motion
Yes.
and
Yes.
We need
or
something
review, so that we have that.
stupid.
And time is of the essence, and we can.
Yeah, they really would, this is their well, and they have, I know, a file someplace with the specifications on what they actually ordered and installed in Veterans Field. So they're gonna need to look at that and make sure that it's gonna be able to provide you with the water that you need.
See if you know,
So they need to really send a letter to the selectmen. They need to have it on their agenda. Have you met with them?
No, I have not met with them.
Okay.
But,
Because
Yeah,
I haven't heard
I've been
anything from,
talked to
to
them,
them,
but
and
no,
we've
I have
been-
not met with them.
okay,
we've
I
been
would
working
get
on
on
the
their,
ball field, and we haven't heard this at all.
get on their agenda when they meet and everything else, and get that, and get a letter back to us.
Okay.
Because these same questions might pop up at town meeting when
Yeah.
we go to put the vote.
I would
so-
contact Tim Southall. He's the liaison that we're working with on the new ball field, and Tim could get you some more information. And if there's a well, like I said, I didn't even see it on the plan. I wasn't looking for it in particular anyway, but just to get an
There is
idea
one
of. And he's the one that takes care of, does so much with the fields. He'd know.
Yeah.
He'd be the
Well,
one you
Tim's
could
pretty
talk
much
to,
the one that
and
handles the
he's very
fields.
talkable. You know what I mean? It's a,
Yeah, I've spoke with them
Yeah.
a few times, and yes, so, and he was more than happy to, help
Right.
us out.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sure.
In some way, that he can. And so,
yeah.
That was-
I hate to be throwing a
and
lot of
thank you,
roadblocks.
Jack.
in.
That
We
was,
just, we just wanted to have it done right.
So Peter, if you're gonna address those issues,
yes,
to the rec committee,
okay,
and then have them forward a letter to us.
all right.
Okay?
Peter's done a real good job here. I mean, I'm looking at the pipe. What you got is $662, and $861, if that gets you from the well or whatever to the garden. I mean, it's a shame. You got what,
43 plots.
43 plots, and it's just unfortunate that the property got sold and the well is on the property owner down there. That,
Well, I would suggest that, we're closing the warrant next week. Why don't we hold the spot for this
Yes.
article? We'll keep it, put it on the warrant, and that gives you from now until town meeting, November 4th.
Your meeting with the CPC is what, the 26th?
Yes,
So they should know by the 26th.
Yeah, so you need to get something from the rec committee and get, have everything ready so that they can
That's
hopefully give
Thursday
you a
night.
positive recommendation. And
Peter, thank you for everything
Move from
you've
there.
done,
Yeah.
okay? All the work and everything else, but as everything else, there's always committees and there's always paperwork to sign, okay? So,
Yes.
but everything else, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank you.
everything
It's-
else, okay?
thank you.
So if you get those issues hammered out and get it back to us, we'll go from there, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right, Peter, thanks for coming
Thank you.
in tonight. Joyce, as always, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We just gotta hammer it out, you know?
Yep.
Figure it out. Thank you,
Okay.
gentlemen, for helping us with the farmer's
Thank you,
market
Peter.
too,
Thank
you
for
know?
any roadblocks.
You guys
So
have done
we know.
a lot to
Thanks,
keep
Peter.
that farmer's market
Peter, thank you
going.
again. Thank you.
Peter?
Good night, George. Good night, Peter.
Good night.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Okay, that takes care of our appointments for tonight. We go back to the blue folder, and we will address old business. And we'll go first discuss Bob and Jean Petrollo's ongoing issues with the water treatment plant. Bob and Jean Petrollo reached out to myself regarding another issue regarding the water treatment plant. And this is mainly the Petrollos, okay, are their number of their house. We all know the issue, what you know, they came in here. And they had the problem with their address being the address for the water treatment plant, okay? And I don't know if you tuned into the water board meeting. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And I think it's around minute number 26, 25, I think, of that particular meeting. And there's a, between, what's the subcontract, just forgot?
Kinsman.
Kinsman.
They had one of their subcontractors delivered a dumpster to their property.
Yes.
Um,
And this has been an ongoing, and I watched that segment, okay, and Mr. Petrollo is quite upset, okay, and there's words going on between Kinsman and townsperson, back and forth. And I think, I would just like to get this straightened out, and get a letter to Kinsman and to the attorneys who, in this is a citizen of Raleigh, okay, who, not their fault, okay, is being told, you know, they put a lien on their house and it went from one issue to another issue, and it's constantly, and then they showed up a week ago with a dumpster. So what I'm trying to say is I would like a letter from the board, okay, just stating to Kinsman, get this straightened out and not have a citizen of our town almost like being harassed because of where they live next to the driveway of going back to the water treatment plant. And I mean, this is just, it's unheard of. I mean, what they've gone through.
I look at it, go by there every day, a number of times, as the rest of us probably do. And I mean, there's a variety of signs, and would it be possible to ask the water board to put a sizable sign? It doesn't have to be huge, but like all deliveries, all water plant deliveries, or whatever the correct wording is, and it posted out there so that it's not a hazard for traffic, but clearly indicating that the deliveries go down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Not, because the problem is, it's like an alley, it's almost like a dirt alley, and.
Yeah.
I would
and
also
it's,
like.
you know, but the sign is, there's a bunch of signs, and the Petrollo's mailbox is right, and there's all, you know, there's all kinds of confusing, the truck drivers come in, they're looking to dump and get out of there, and I'm wondering if we just put have them put a clearly delineated sign that indicates all deliveries to the rear of Pingree Farm Road, or something along that line, so that
Dave,
maybe it'll eliminate some of the problems.
I agree, Dave. I think a letter from the Board of Selectmen should go to the Water Department requesting that the sign be placed out front to tell all the contractors that deliveries are back. But we also need a letter to Kinsman.
To Kinsman.
Okay, and to address this issue. We have a citizen of our town, and frankly, no fault of theirs, they're being
No, I agree.
harassed at a meeting.
Right.
I mean, if you saw that altercation, I was furious. I said, you know, I was in customer service for years, okay? with the telephone company. This is your customer. This is a taxpayer. Anybody comes through that door to this board or any other board should be treated with respect. They're a customer of the town, okay? And it just infuriated me watching the way one of our townspeople was treated. I was beside myself, and I'm angry of what I saw that night.
No, it's unacceptable, Mr. Chairman.
No.
It's unacceptable.
It is unacceptable.
Yeah.
And I think Dave's idea about the sign may work part of the time, but I think part of the problem we have out there is that somehow these vendors got the Petrillo's house number. So that when they ship something out, they ship it out to an address, not necessarily to a water department. And it winds up in Petrillo's yard.
Yes.
Because that's the house number.
I would like, excuse me, Bob,
Yep.
I want to roll here. I would like a letter from the Board of Selectmen to go to Kinsman to notify them from the Board of Selectmen, okay, with the strongest verbiage, okay, that this is unacceptable and this is in some form, that this is a townsperson and this is totally unacceptable, and we wish from Kinsman, this board, some return.
No, we don't wish anything.
Yeah,
We demand.
We demand, yes, thank you, Bob. Okay, in the strongest verbiage that you can put together.
That the Petrillos be compensated for their harassment.
Yes,
I think adding to what Dave said about putting a sign, it should say on the sign, new water treatment, town of Raleigh, 1 mile with an arrow. If the truck driver couldn't read that or whatever,
Well, I think he
you
can,
don't
Jack,
leave it
except
there.
the address he's got on the package says whatever
but
the house number is.
We're going back, Bob, too. Kingsman should have, all right, I'm delivering some pipe. I own a pipe company, right? Or packages or whatever. Deliver it to the site, not to a resident out in front. That's
Exactly.
not the site.
No, I understand, Jack.
You know,
Good.
this should
What's
be
happened
delivered.
is-
Them people doing the contract totally in their ballpark. You know what I
think
mean?
This whole thing started with a subcontractor, the Kinsman, who gave an address to the company they were ordering the material from.
Right.
And it wound up to be Petrillo's address. And that's
Right.
all they've got on the package.
Right.
So the person delivering it has no idea there's even a water treatment plant out there, other than he's got this package that goes to X number street.
Well, what
And
the
then
letter should be is anyone delivering any product going to that water plant
But I have
is
a-
to be addressed.
I have a problem watching that water board meeting and watching the representative Kinsman, you know, their attitude towards the Petrillos. Petrillos did nothing wrong here.
Right.
Nothing
Exactly.
whatsoever.
Right.
And to be, to be dressed down, that's the way I saw it, by a contractor, it's not their fault. They're way out of line.
Yeah.
So, and you're right, we demand.
Yeah, and part of the letter should state that we want Kinsman to ensure that the Petrillo's address is not used for any delivery of any
Yes.
materials or products.
Any deliveries for anything.
Any
dealing
delivery.
with
And
the
this is to
water
be,
treatment plant.
and we demand that this is corrected immediately. That sound good?
Sounds very
Okay,
good.
anyone add anything else to it?
No.
Okay.
I'll make that motion that we address, did you get it all down, Debbie?
Okay.
I'll second that one.
Okay, and have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was a strong aye. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay, moving on to discuss the FY14 Triton assessment. Chairman Snow asked for a resubmit to you the attached emails, information we received last spring in summary regarding the FY14 school assessment. In the current FY14 school budget, the Triton School Committee used the minimum local contribution numbers that were used for the governor's budget in House 1. As you know, the legislature adopted a different budget than the governor proposed and used the different minimum local contribution, which then changed and decreased the assessment for Raleigh and Salisbury. Newbury's assessment decreases under FY14 approved school budget, yet the MLC changed in the final state budget, increases Newbury's assessment. I would want to discuss with the selectmen during this meeting, okay, about the FY14 budget. So, if you look at the figures here, you can see it on page 1. And as you can see, Raleigh's assessment is a negative $130,840. Okay, Salisbury's assessment was a negative $136,316. In Newbury's is a positive $267,157. So with that, we have a negative number that went up to Triton. So with that, gentlemen, open this to a discussion.
Well, I think it could have gone either way, Mr. Chairman. And we'd be looking at a positive figure if it had gone that way.
Correct.
So I think we really need to get an answer as to where do we stand because of the change in the actual budget amounts that were projected.
Joe, you're a liaison with the Triton.
Right,
Have you, have they addressed this at all?
they have not.
They have not. I have a motion to, Joe, are they meeting this Wednesday night?
There is a meeting this Wednesday night, but the only item on the agenda for this Wednesday night is that there's a gentleman coming in to provide a instruction or information on how to evaluate the superintendent.
Okay, there's nothing, they don't have a citizen query or anything like that?
There is a citizen query, but it's limited to 3 minutes.
Okay, this shouldn't take you much. It's kind of like a Jerry Maguire moment, where's the money, I guess.
Could we actually just maybe talk to Mr. Forget
Okay,
and ask him where we stand? I mean, he's the one that wrote these emails originally telling us about the differences in the budget. These came from him. And we could ask the question as to where do we stand and where does Salisbury stand? We don't need to know where Salisbury stands, but where do we stand as far as what happened
I think
in reality?
I think if you read, in other words, on this particular page here,
Yeah.
according to the box, the DESC, Department of Educational, that's a state agency, I assume, offered the guidance to regional districts back in 2009, and this is what's in force here. And under scenario 5A, if the scenario plays out and the committee chose, they would reconvene, the school committee would reconvene to vote an amended budget using the finalized state figures. And part of the issue here is the state came out with the figures so late that everybody's budgets were already set and voted. And then recertify to the towns. If a member town's assessment goes down, then they don't have to reconvene a town meeting and vote. However, if an assessment goes up, that town must reconvene a town meeting and approve the new increase in order for the modified budget to take effect. If that does not occur, then the original approved budget is in force. So obviously Newbury did not reconvene a town meeting to increase their assessment. So therefore, under this guideline from the state, the original budget remains in force.
so they were a negative number, if I remember right.
That's
under the-
correct.
Well, I mean, they're, under the new assessments, their assessment increased by $267,000, while Les and Salisbury went down by 130. So Newbury had to make up what our drop in assessments was. But they didn't have a town meeting, they didn't vote for it, so therefore, according to this guideline anyway, and I think we can confirm it probably with the superintendent's office, that barring the vote of any of the towns to change their assessments, that the budget for this year remains in effect. I mean, we can't just arbitrarily send them less money, we'll be in default.
Right.
And,
But no, but what Bob is saying is that back, when they approved the budget back last spring, Newbury's assessment was 260,000 less.
Right.
Less.
And because of this budget proposal. And so that's why we paid more.
Right.
But the state came through and voted a different budget, and that's why we want our
Well, that's what this, but
$130,000
this is what this
back.
5A covers. This 5A covers that scenario that
Right.
unless
If
Newbury,
Newbury doesn't vote it,
unless
right.
Newbury comes in and votes for the extra 265,000, the budget remains in force. The original budget remains in force.
Right.
Actually, to clarify, no, it's the school committee has a budget. If they reconvene and do the assessments in accordance with the final budget passed by the legislature, then Newbury will be compelled to have a town meeting to vote the appropriate assessment. The school committee, as far as we know, has not done anything with regard to the final state budget and the minimum local contribution level. So I think that's what Chairman Snow had asked me about. What is the school committee's plan to address the final state budget? Are they going to discuss this? And when is this going to, are they gonna have
I
a
mean,
meeting
'cause
and
the-
reconvene
these
and
are-
discuss this?
Swings, I mean, tremendous
Oh, yeah,
swings
no, it's huge.
in the budget. I mean, we're going, Salisbury and Raleigh are going to negative numbers from positive numbers, and Newbury is going just the opposite, you know.
Well, for us, it's a savings of $130,000.
A saving, a savings of $130,000. So,
What is the plan of the school
what
committee
is
to
the plan of
address the final
I think
budget?
that we should
From the state.
put that in a letter to,
Then so where does it stand? I
Assistant
think that's what Chairman
Superintendent
Snow was
budget.
asking me about, and I said I hadn't heard anything, and I don't know if the school committee has discussed it. Or is this, are they planning to do a correction in the following fiscal year? I'm not sure.
I haven't
Fiscal
seen
15.
anything on the agenda.
I mean, this is from, we haven't heard anything. This email is dated July 10th.
Yep.
We haven't heard anything.
No.
I mean, that's kind of a large issue.
One point I will make
Okay.
is that we do have the District Communications Committee where we can bring up issues and discuss things at the Triton Regional District. And the meetings have been scheduled for 1 o'clock in the afternoon, coming up in October and November.
Okay, well, I think we need to address this, the sooner the better. I would suggest twofold. One to the superintendent requesting clarification on the budget. And,
I think that would
Also-
suffice. If he's gonna give it to Brian anyway.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. And I think we should copy the chairwoman of the school
School
committee,
committee
Deborah
also.
Choate.
okay, could I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. Old business number 3. Follow up of last week's meeting, Debbie spoke with town council. She advised that the selectmen do a title search first. This is about the Girl Scout property update. Debbie has filed an application with the Community Preservation seeking $10,000 for the costs associated with the proposed purchase of the property. The application funds to be used, the study uses for this property, which may include passive recreation on the open space portion and active recreation on the camp portion. We'll need the funds to conduct an appraisal, soil tests, survey work, etc. The application is attached. Board of Selectmen should vote to reaffirm its support of the application. Lastly, the CPC is meeting Thursday night. They will be discussing the application. The selectmen would, any selectman would like to attend?
I'm on the board,
You're
so
on
I'll
the
be
board.
there.
You'll be there. So with that, any discussion
Go to
about?
that day?
Yeah, I should be able to go as a spokesman for the, an independent of,
All right.
I know Joe's on the board, but I mean, I'm willing to go in and discuss this.
Yeah, when-
We talked about this when we met out in the
Okay.
field.
Yeah, and where you did the walk.
That's right.
that would
I
be-
think it's a
That's a
matter
real
of,
good idea.
And one thing we gotta be careful of, we really don't want a quorum there, so.
No.
If Dave
Okay.
goes and the others.
if I can't go, I'll let Debbie know but as far as I know, I should be able to.
All right, Dave,
to
that sounds
attend
good.
And I think the important thing is that I mean, 10,000, we're kind of pulling the figure out of the hat, but it's just the idea that we need to start looking if we need to do surveys and some other stuff, and I think if the CPC decides that it's not warranted, because it's early, I mean, it's early in this process, we're just looking at this thing that they would at least be open to using some of their administrative funds. We just need money, so if we need to do a survey or a title search or some other preliminary appraisal or something to see where we're going with this, we need to have money to do that. It would be nice to get them started, and it also gives the citizens on town meeting floor a chance to
We need to get the ball rolling
Yeah,
on this.
definitely.
And this is a big,
This will be a big project if we undertake it.
and this is an important piece of project right in the center of town to look at.
This is a critical piece of property.
Yeah, critical is really the word. Okay.
Mr.
So-
Chairman, could the board just vote, that was the application that I filed, your request, just take a consensus on that application, on the purpose of the funds and.
Do you need a consensus or you need a motion?
I need a motion.
Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anything else you need, Deb, from us?
I think that covered it. We just want to make sure that there would be a selectman present before the CPC to discuss the project. And of course,
Okay, so
Joe-
Dave, you're gonna be there.
Yeah, I will be there.
Okay.
Joe can supplement that.
Do we have, just as a matter of, Debbie, do we have a package so we could, like not all those pictures, but at least a summary packet to give to the CPC members so they can see exactly, and I don't know if we have the ability to, but it would certainly be nice to have at least a couple of colored, like that colored shot that the map we got from the
That's right,
Greenbelt, because it dramatically, it's much clearer when you see the colored with the line, the various lines, just so that they have a real good picture of what I don't, like I said, we don't need all the individual pictures that Brent took, but at least a couple of the overviews of it, so they can get a good handle of where it is, what it is, and with an explanation from us as to what we're doing, looking to do.
All right. Anything else on that? Okay, moving on. Old business number 4, discuss town meeting articles. Last week, the board discussed the possibility of having an article in the fall special town meeting warrant seeking funding through transfers for police and fire station feasibility study. Does the board wish to have an article transferring funds? There is a total of $13,345 in funds from 2 articles, fire station design and police and fire study. So,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think I was the one that brought this up originally, and I think what it's really looking to do is combine the articles and the funding in the articles and make sure that it opens it up so that it's for a police station, fire station. Just makes it our availability to begin looking at scenarios.
And I think we really need to clean up those other articles that have gone on through the years, and we've spent some money doing some research, and then there's a leftover and it never gets spent and it just sits there. So I think you're correct, Dave. We should put all that money together and then work on some sort of.
And then if we need more money in the Springtown meeting, we can just add it to that article. It just cleans the whole thing up and eliminates a couple of the old articles. And it clearly indicates to the townspeople by their doing this that at this point we are moving forward looking at alternatives for the police and fire stations.
okay.
I'll make a motion that we put this article, there was a total of $13,345 in funds from the 2 article station, fire station design, and police and fire study, to combine them into one for an article.
Have a motion?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, moving on to new business. Discuss foreign auto engineering Class 2 dealer's license. On September 16th, 2013, we received a letter from CNA's surety notifying us that they received a request to cancel or non-renew the bond for foreign auto engineering located at 165 Newburyport Turnpike. Amy called the owner, Lawrence Watson, and he told her that they have been closed since February of this year. Frank Mangiani visited the business on September 19th and reported that all cars had been removed from the premises and the office space and garage bay were vacant. Class 2 dealer's license issued to the business expires on January 1, 2014. The owner did not return the license or notify the board when the business closed in February. Does the board wish to request that the license be returned?
Yes.
Discussion from the board?
I think we should request the license.
I'll give you a motion to notify them to return the license
Okay.
forthwith.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Send that out. It's the license back. Okay, if everybody read the minutes for September 9th, 2013, is executive session.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion for executive session September 9th, 2013?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, for the board meetings for September 16th, 2013, do I have any comments on those? Have everybody read them?
Yep.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I have a
Accept
motion.
the minutes of September 16th.
Do I have a
Regular
second?
meeting.
Thank you, Jack. Do I have your motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Okay, moving on to announcements. Again, Brad Hill, our representative, is holding his second annual North Shore Community Food Drive at the Raleigh Market Basket on Friday, September 27th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and Saturday, September 28th from 10 to 2 p.m. The drive will benefit the Raleigh Food Pantry and other food pantries on the North Shore. And I read a lengthy article about what Representative Hill is doing. This is his second annual again, and did a lot of good work last year, and he filled up a big container truck and a lot of food. Okay, and as I mentioned before about the food pantry in Raleigh, again, I'll just go forward. They are needed donations, especially this time of year. Donations kind of, fall off in the summertime. People kind of remember the food pantry at Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, at those times of the year. But really, the need is, especially with the downturn in the economy that we've had, there's still people out there in need. And as I said, a box of spaghetti and a jar of spaghetti sauce, that feeds, feed a family. It takes so little to really reach out and to help people. They could use some toiletry articles, soaps, things like that. I've talked about hunger, and I've gone to other parts of the world, down in Mexico, as some of you know, and you can't imagine what hunger is, and we have it right here in our own community. So the Raleigh Food Pantry has needed donations. The Raleigh Food Pantry is open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And there's a drop-off basket right over here at the library. Okay, so if you have any items, again, please, look for those sales on at Market Basket and Shaw's, and you can get something together and you can drop it off at the basket, or drop it right over here at the food pantry. Okay, battery recycling box is right out here in the town hall. Matter of fact, I got a bag at home I got to drop off. I went through all my batteries today and put them in a little plastic bag, drop them right off here at the library. The town has the following vacant seats: Conservation Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, Associate 2 open seats, 2 fence viewer positions, and wood lumber bark inspector. So if you're interested in any of those positions, please call the Selectmen's office or come by the office. Okay, the Board of Health discussion again. Dr. Curtis Ursing on Lyme disease, and any of you who've had Lyme disease know it's not a fun disease. Okay, it was tonight It was over at 7 o'clock over at the annex. It will play on RCM during the week, okay? Lyme disease is an important subject to know about and to understand. I got bit a couple of years ago. I got seriously ill within a couple of days, and I've talked to a number of people since then, and it can be very debilitating. So be aware of it, understand about Lyme disease, and it's all the ticks, they're very prevalent, especially at this time of year. If you have a dog or anything else, you have to check the dog all the time for ticks. They bring them in the house, they come in contact with us. So again, use a lot of caution, check yourself out in the mirror. I got bit on my back, didn't know it for 2 days, saw the tick, and I got pretty sick from it. So again, become aware about Lyme disease, especially when we live here in the country. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.